Welcome to AQMD On the Air. I'm your host, Rocio Santa Cruz. Joining us today is Catherine Showalter, recently retired as Director of the Public Policy Program at UCLA Extension. She brings with her an expertise in linking transportation, demand management, land use, and environmental management. Throughout her career, she even managed to spend some time here, working at the AQMD, when she was known as Catherine Wazakowski. Catherine, welcome back. This is a bit of a homecoming for you.
Yes, it is. I was at the AQMD for 7.5 years as Director of the Transportation Programs. And during that time, we did a lot in regards to the mobile source rules and transportation control measures, most notably Regulation 15, which is the precursor to Rule 2202. But thank you for welcoming me back.
With our state's population continuing to grow and increasing concerns being raised about the need to reduce carbon emissions, and the need to utilize renewable energy sources, increase transit options, cutting down on single passenger car trips. How do you think we could use this time as an opportunity to reform these issues?
After leaving AQMD, I was Executive Director for Rides for Bay Area commuters. And so there, besides being the ride match information source for the 9 counties in the Bay Area, we also provided information to travelers on how to get to a Pac-Bell baseball game. They could take the ferry, they could take BART, lots of alternatives to driving, how to get to Oakland Airport for a trip. So it was beyond the commute trip information. It was more into those other kinds of trips that also play into emitting pollutants through motor vehicles. After being at Rides for Bay Area commuters for about 5.5 years, then I returned home to Southern California and served as the Director of the Public Policy Program at UCLA. And there, I really was involved a lot in planning different seminars and symposia and classes on air quality or environmental issues, transportation, and land use. But it was the connection between all of those that was really the thing that I had drawn from my experience at AQMD and Rides and now then at UCLA. Most notably, one of the programs is the annual Transportation, Land Use, and Environment Connection Symposium that takes place each year at the Arrowhead Conference Center. And I want to talk about that a little bit because the connections in those areas is what that work is all about. And what happens every year is that researchers, practitioners, and policymakers get together to dialogue, and it's a very select group, it's about 100, but they're leaders. And they dialogue about the connections, about the issues. So some of the issues that we've addressed over the time, even though the overall topic is always, like I said, those 3, there's always a focus. And so some of the programs that I was responsible for, one was Healthy Regions, Healthy People. So then it was the air quality and how that plays into health. Another one was global energy and climate change. That was 2006. 2007 was another aspect. So you can tell that the focus changes, but still the linkage is there. And the last one this past October was on energy policy. And some of the things that we learned that were the takeaways, if you will, besides the experience itself and realizing how much we don't know, even though we are all experts in our own areas. And I'll just share a few things that we learned. One, for instance, was from one of the speakers who said, as a developer, we aren't experts in this area of energy alternatives, and we are learning. We need to learn. We understand the need to know more as we choose projects, as we go through the CEQA process. But please be patient with us because we are learning about energy. And I think that's true for all of us, unless you've been so focused on energy throughout your profession, and then you have that advantage. But today's second graders are learning about, how do you conduct electricity and what some of the energy uses are. We didn't have that, I think, when we were in second grade. And so it's a growing awareness, if you will. So it's a turning point. It's a growing awareness on the part of the private and the public sectors. It's also, I believe the time is now because people see the changes in the weather patterns. They're wondering what's going on. We're aware of different pieces of legislation. I think the community at large is probably not so very understanding of what a climate action plan is. There's a need to make that more understandable to the community at large. But I think the message why it's now is that we need to take all of this, take advantage of the fact that there is uncertainty, and use that in a way to get people started on the ground level to make some changes. Little, simple, not complex. Even one of the other things that was said loud and clear at the Arrowhead Symposium this year was the complexity just kills it all as far as financing. Whatever rules need to be something that they can depend on over time and not change. If there's research done, that's fine, but don't take drastic steps different than what they've already invested in. Otherwise, the private sector, those that are the champions for moving forward with new technologies and that feel like they have the carpet swept out from under them when what they've gone to and received approval from upper management has then changed with new regulations and then they feel like, wow, they put themselves out and now they have to come back. So I think, you ask about the timing now. Again, I really believe this is the time to begin. We've started in lots of other areas and we've made some great changes, but this is the turning point.
People are always saying, let's collaborate, build alliances, partnerships. So why are collaborative solutions so important? And how can our region better put these ideas into practice?
Well, it's so important because these areas are not one-dimensional. They cut across multi-disciplines. And so one partner, one organization does not have all the answers. And we have to get beyond the stovepipe mentality where we only look at what we do. And we have to be more aware of the fact that our piece of it is only a piece. And that unless we collaborate and we work across these different entities, we're never going to get there. We're going to solve little pieces of the problem. But this is not a small problem. All of our energy, our climate change issues, our air quality issues are not local, they're global. And so we're not going to have all the answers. And so we really have to work across the boundaries.
Looking back, what do you think about major lessons learned in our quest for clean air? And how would we advise others just starting on this journey?
Well, I think one of the important lessons is that it's okay to be 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And by that I mean, even when I was at the Air District and we tried to create the transportation control measures to reduce the trips to shopping centers, we looked at parking charges, we looked at some of the issues that affect businesses at the core. I think we weren't at that point in time aware enough of the ramifications on business. And then we have to be careful then when it doesn't quite work the way we want to just say, people don't care about air quality. That's not it. I think we need to really, I think one of the things we've learned is to really pay attention to the different perspectives, to the different things that people are addressing, whether it's the private sector or the business sector, private sector, public sector. We all are experiencing different things depending on where we work and where we live. The people that are living in Wilmington and that are living with the pollution from the trucks going back and forth, the goods movement aspects from the ports of Long Beach and Los Angeles into the Inland Empire, for instance, they're coming at this from one perspective. Their children have asthma. They see that they have to take the inhalers to school with them. So they have one perspective. The automobile manufacturers that are trying to figure out what the CAFE standards are over time and make changes as they develop new technologies, they have a different perspective. And then the Air District. We know that the mission at the Air District is to clean up the air so that we're breathing healthier. In fact, as Dr. Burke had said, breathing clean air is a right. It's a human rights issue. And that gets it right down. So if we can keep all those things in mind, as rules and regulations are developed and the board passes them, they may not always work out the way we think, but that doesn't mean they're lost causes. So that's what I said, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but as long as we are moving forward, and we are, the air is cleaner now than it was before, and we'll continue to do so, that's really something for us all to be proud about.
Catherine Showalter, thank you for coming back to visit with us and for your passion and commitment towards cleaning our air.
Oh, well, thank you for the opportunity. I really enjoyed it, and another way to share my passion. Thank you.
Well, that's our show. I'm Rocio Santa Cruz. Thanks for watching. Visit us at cleanairconnections.org to learn how you can help us clean the air that we breathe.
Let's